What's going on, everybody? Brett here. We're back with my YouTube channel, Good Talk Gaming. We're jumping into another free-for-all here, sent in by subscriber and channel supporter Triari. He's going to be playing as the Wood Elf, so let's root for him a little bit as we get into this free-for-all and he gets underway. So, guys, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about the individual units and things like that. I want to just watch this battle. I almost always do really in-depth breakdowns, and for once, I kind of just want to see what happens. Triari has a front line of spearmen. He sent me this replay because he wanted to show how he made use of the Wildwood Rangers and to show me that they were very effective this game. And I'm excited to watch them and see how they perform. They're a great armor-piercing, great sword unit. However, they're a bit overcosted, and you really get the best value from them when they're able to fight in the woods. They do get a bonus versus large whenever they can do that. Spellsinger with the Lore of Beast going to be casting some mana cores essentially out into the world. Leoix Trickster's there for his anti-large component. He's got the Glade Lord shooting that Prey of Anath... No, not Prey of Anathrama. The Arrow of Kurnos. There we go. The Arrow of Kurnos is going to be shooting off... Did it hit anything? See, he was shooting at the High Elves, but I'm not sure it did much. Normally that ends up nailing whatever it shoots at. I would always recommend shooting blobs of infantry. It's very tempting to go for single target entities like these Frostheart Phoenixes, but in my experience, it very rarely does much damage or even hits at all. Mage with the Lore of Light, the Pure Main Company for that Guardian to protect the Prince on his Eagle, Sisters of Avalon in the background to do the damage. Standard Spearmen, we have the Signs of Mathlon with that Ward save, and yeah, pretty straightforward, smallish army there from the High Elves. The Tomb Kings are going to be rocking a very wide formation, lots of skeletons, just basic skeletons, spearmen out on the flanks, as well as some standard horsemen who are going to discover these rangers very quickly. They are shielded, so they'll be able to get into the rangers with no problem, but rangers are actually not pushovers in melee, so I wouldn't be surprised if the two of them together can gang up on this horseman unit and defeat it. One Tomb Scorpion on this side of the battlefield, as well as the Grand Hierophant Katep on his Casket of Souls. He's got every single Nehekaran spell under the sun. We'll see which ones he makes use of in this replay. Gyrocopters here for the dwarves. 2 grudge throwers, if I remember correctly. Yes, 2 grudge throwers. And they're just going to be demolishing these skeleton warriors here. This whole unit is just going to fade away before it gets a chance to even do anything. They're just going to absolutely crumble. And no doubt, should probably move on to the more expensive Tomb Guard. They have 2 halberd units, and then 1 standard Tomb Guard. No, actually 2 standard Tomb Guard with a lot of skeleton archers in the back. And the other rangers came to support with the help of the gyrocopter. They're going to be able to drive off these horsemen. But Grand Hierophant Katep, with the help of the horsemen, were able to do quite a number on these rangers, but they only lost 10 models. 3 models here for those rangers. Oh lord, here we go. The elf on elf battle is underway. The spearmen are going to be used to kind of just go spearman to spearman. Pretty easy matchup. They're going to be held in place, and it's going to be a bit of a duel between the Way Watchers and the Sisters of Avalon, but the High Elf player is choosing to focus down the Great Sword Infantry, the Wildwood Rangers, instead of trying to take out the Way Watchers. So he's diving in with the Frostheart Phoenixes. I don't hate that. They have a slowing aura, they have a melee debuff aura, and they're really strong combatants. They'll be able to tie down a unit like the Way Watchers, but the Way Watchers are very mobile. The Lore of Lightcaster tried to get a banishment off, but ended up whiffing pretty hard. And with the Mana Core summon, that's going to tie down the Sisters of Avalon, give them time for these basic Eternal Guard to get into the backfield. And the Sisters of Avalon, the other group, is going to be kind of providing Overwatch fire, shooting into the Wildwood Rangers. Great net of Amnitok here, preventing these other Eternal Guard from getting into the Sisters, but I think it's just a matter of time until that happens. Meanwhile, the Way Watchers are going to be using their heavy armor-piercing damage to take out the Frostheart Phoenix. Now that this Eternal Guard is free, hopefully Triari gets them moving, gets them into those Sisters of Avalon, and there he goes. The Dragon, the Glade Lord on a Dragon with the Leoix Tricksters is going to have no problems tearing apart the Frostheart Phoenix. And yeah, that's a lot of weapon damage and anti-large bonus going straight into them. And it just looks like the Prince on his Eagle is not going to have really too many chances to do anything. The Way Watchers can fire while moving, they can fire in a 360, so all you have to do is kite with them, And the eagle is no match for the dragon. It doesn't matter how much more superior the prince is, because at the end of the day, it's eagle versus dragon. And I think we all know who wins that battle. And yeah, it's just the Wildwood Rangers grinding it out here versus the Spearmen, versus the Pure Main Company, who are a very powerful unit. But the Wildwood Rangers are just really meshed in well with these Spearmen, who are going to be taking a lot of the hits and letting the Wildwood Rangers do the damage. And I'm sure they'll come out of this with just a ton of kills, as the Spearmen just chase around those Sisters of Avalon, preventing them from getting that value. And the frontline battle is underway here for the Dwarves versus the Tomb Kings. Hammers and Iron Breakers all the way around. Skeleton Warriors are no match for anything on this side of the battlefield. And Grand Hierophant Katep, as strong as the Casket of Souls is against light infantry, even the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass have 85 armor. The Iron Breaker's 125. So it's not going to do a ton of damage. However, you know, it is also magic missiles, and the Dwarves have that passive magic resistance. So there's just a lot of damage being mitigated on their end. Meanwhile, they're just going to absolutely grind through the Tomb Guard. And the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass also do flaming damage on their attacks. So just all around a great counter to the Tomb Kings for sure. And Ushabti were summoned in the back. Let's see how many kills they get before they die. They'll be dying soon. But 35 kills is not bad for a free summon unit. But they're being taken down by the Dragonback Slayers, who have that anti-large. And that's it. The last of the Ushabti are down. The front line for the Tomb Kings in the center is crumbling, and they're going to be bringing in kind of their side guys. These probably should have been up and around trying to get into these Rangers this whole time. But it looks like they're just going to try and wrap up the Iron Breakers, who are taking a lot of fire. But I think it won't matter at the end of the day. It looks like the Tomb King player has actually forgotten several of his units. The Tomb Scorpion not doing anything. The Kara Warrior not doing anything. One of these archers not doing anything. A bit of a misplay there. And then, are these gyrocopters shooting? They're up to 69 kills, so I have to imagine they're doing something. Yeah, and a bit of a whiff there from the Grand Hierophant. Needs to focus on using his units. I hate to see that. And the Frostheart Phoenix, the second one is being run off the battlefield. Was there another one perhaps being chased? Something was being chased by the Pharaoh Manticore. Perhaps the Prince. Is this the final resting place of the Prince? No, this was the Mage with the Lure of Light. So using that Pharaoh Manticore to chase down the Mage was probably the right choice. You can get some healing or big banishments off. Here comes that Arrow of Kurnos once again, trying to snipe out the Prince, but Deadly Onslaught is popped. Going to make it a pretty good duelist, but it's just kind of too little too late. The Wildwood Rangers up to 125 kills on that one, 105 kills on that one, and it looks like Triari's going to have to deal with the Dwarf player, if I had to guess. I feel like the Tomb Kings player is not long for this world, and the Sisters of Avalon, with their great leadership, I mean, they're fighting in melee, which they're not bad at, but that's not where they're meant to be. Once the front line for the High Elf crumbles, their casting ability is gone, and Triari is kind of smartly moving over some of his assets now, getting them into position, and he's going to have a great spot from which he can either try to skirmish against the Dwarves or poke at the Tomb Kings, whichever is more convenient. He still has quite a bit of ammunition left on one of his Way Watchers. The other, however, is nearly out, and I would probably take off their ability to fire at will at this point. Once they're at this low ammunition, they were able to snipe out the Prince, and now he's able to move all of his forces over this kind of really cool and strategic land bridge. The Dwarf player, I think, is perhaps a bit more experienced than the Tomb King player. He's got just enough things left in the front line to win this fight, but he pulled his Rangers back. Seems like perhaps anticipating the Wood Elves coming over this land bridge, and now he has his Grudge Throwers shooting into the Way Watchers, and that's a pretty smart move. They're being guarded by the Dragonback Slayers. A nice choice if the Dragon or a Pharaoh Manticore or anything like that were to come back here. 64 Dragonback Slayers is still no joke. So let's see what he's able to do. The Way Watchers have great armor piercing, and the Hammers have decent armor at 100. That's certainly nothing to laugh at, but they're not shielded in any way. So that damage is going to be pretty dang direct. Let's see what we have here. They're being targeted with something. Oh, and it's going to be an Amber Spear. Wow, that ripped through them. They got a few kills. Pretty cool. It's not a spell you get to see very often, so I'm pretty happy about that. Meanwhile, the Tomb Scorpion and Grombrindal are dueling. Looks like the Nehekara Warriors are going to be coming in to help. Skeleton Archers are just on the hill shooting him down. this is pretty brave of Grombrindal. I don't know if I would use him in this particular way. With all of these entities here, he's certainly outmatched. And it doesn't surprise me at all that the Tomb Guards with halberds are still holding. However, you have to be careful with an artillery piece like the Casket of Souls. You saw there, it just dumpstered his own Tomb Guard, shot them in the back. And I would probably not be shooting there. I'd be shooting here into the Rangers, who are very blobbed up and are currently kind of standing sideways, which is exactly the type of target that the Casket of Souls wants to hit. And the Rangers now, who were previously invisible, they have stalk. So Triara could not see them, and unfortunately now they're able to get close enough. They have an inferior range at 160 compared to the Way Watchers' huge 190. So if it came down to a skirmish duel, Way Watchers could certainly win, but they also have bronze shields. So there's a lot of give and take there. And yeah, those grudge throwers are just getting such huge value this whole battle. Are they out of ammo now? They are, but not after getting a combined 300 kills. So they certainly were able to put the dwarf player pretty high up in the points there. But a lot of forces coming over. These Rangers with no ammunition left are being thrown into melee to try and stem the tide. Eternal Guards with shields and the Leoric Tricksters mixing it up with them. It's a pretty even battle, I would have to say. And then two more Rangers coming into support. Probably should have come here, and then yeah, stacking them right on top of each other like that, it's not too good. This other group of Rangers still had a little bit of ammunition. Chari's going to wisely jump onto them with his dragon and try and take them out. The Gyrocopter's also out of ammo, so the dwarf player is really out of answers for large flying units like this. The Gyrocopters have a lot of mass, and they're able to sometimes pin in a lord on a dragon like this, keep them on the ground, and let a unit like, let's say, the Dragonback Slayers, who, yeah, I was going to say, I assume they're coming in to try and help. They're pretty fast for a dwarf unit, for sure. And if they can get here in time, I have no doubt they'll be able to take out the dragon. I mean, they're literally, it's in their name, they're Dragonback Slayers. They're made to kill dragons. And this front line here is somewhat buckling. The Wood Elf line is buckling, but the Wildwood Rangers are essentially designed to kill units like this. The Leoric Tricksters are not really wanting this fight, but they are the superior melee combatant, I'd have to say. And I think Triari is wisely pulling them out of that frontline battle. The High Elf player is still in this, I guess. And free-for-alls, it does kind of funny things with leadership. Sometimes units that in a normal game would certainly be broken off just aren't. I would probably also bring in the Spellsinger with the Lore of Beasts to fight. They can do decent work in the late game when units are tattered. They can get some damage done. And that was a prey up Anathrama there, keeping the Dragonback Slayers at bay. And meanwhile, the Gley Lord is up in the skies where he wants to be, taking out these Gyrocopters, biting those little mini helicopters. They're almost like the slider version, like the way a slider is basically a tiny hamburger. Gyrocopters are like the slider version of gyro bombers. It's kind of a cute little helicopter with a dwarf snack inside. But Grombrindal got taken out, and that makes sense to me. I mean, a Tomb Scorpion plus an entire unit of Nekar warriors with some skeleton archer support. Grombrindal was always going to have a bad time. He's surprisingly well armored at 120 armor. He also does magic damage and has huge weapon strength. But as a foot lord, he can easily be bullied by a unit like the Tomb Scorpion. He can just kind of push him around. However, these Iron Breakers are going to wear out these Nahakar warriors and then probably push forward into the archers. But it's going to be too little too late because Grombrindal is taking a lot of fire to the back. So the Dwarf player is having to fight on multiple fronts. The High Elf player is looking to come in and get some free picks here. Still has 24 Sisters of Avalorn with a lot of ammo left. And I'm curious to see who he's going to shoot at. If I was him, okay, shooting into the Glade Lord, not the worst choice. At this point, I mean, the game's all about points, right? So I wouldn't even charge in, I don't believe. I think there's going to be enough at the end of this that your infantry is going to have something to fight. I would just post up right here. Don't engage because you're going to end up accidentally terrifying your units off the battlefield. And just shoot. Get that value from what's left of your ammunition. And then send in your infantry once this fight is a bit clearer. Because right now it's pretty muddy with some elite infantry. The Dragonback Slayers have been thrown into melee. The Hammers seem to be wavering, but they're still technically in the fight. And the Tomb Scorpion has the Curse of Onrare on him to lower his combat abilities. But against the Leoric Tricksters, with a little help from the Way Watchers, who are just kind of absorbing damage, these Wildwood Rangers here at over 200 kills. Like I said, that's not something you see every day. But fighting spearmen is exactly where they want to be. Fighting rangers earlier. But they're going to rout now, and there's no shame in that because they've certainly done their job. And they have a nice little pocket here. What a wild fight. Wood elves have been sandwiched by rangers and high elf spearmen. Look how crazy this is. And they're just trying to fight their way out of this circle. And the high elves are being pulled back. And that's just going to leave these rangers here with 98 kills. Man, I feel like the rangers might be the MVPs this battle. And then the grudge thrower crews have been brought in as well. And I would not be surprised, even the artillery crews for the dwarves, if, you know, you help them out just a little bit, they can still get kills, even against units like the Leoic Strixers and the Eternal Guard. They're basically just here taking damage for the Dragonback Slayers. And then, this is so awesome. The Glaylord dives down on the Tomb Scorpion. Curse of Onrare still on him, keeping him from being an effective combatant and a threat to the Gladelord. 128 kills on the Gladelord. What's going on back here? These Ironbreakers, exactly as predicted. They killed the Nehekaran warriors and are now taking out the last of the skeleton archers. What's left? Wildwood Rangers have rallied. Spellsinger with the Lore of Beasts was able to get, I think, 7 more kills, but Grombrindal is still alive with 200 HP. Grombrindal truly knows no fear, and he's going to be chasing whoever he can get. Being pulled back. Looks like the Ironbreakers were for a second there wanting to disengage, but we might get an epic charge here of the Gladelord looking to finish off Grombrindal, and he took a shot. It looked like he took 60 damage there or so from that archer, from the bow on the back of the Gladelord. And is that going to be the end of Grombrindal? Just needs one attack to land, and I think that's it. With one swift bite, Grombrindal gets eaten. But it's just crazy because the Dwarf Infantry is so elite. Ironbreakers plus Dragonback Slayers. As long as they kind of stand together, man, just that leadership hit right there I think is going to be enough for the Ironbreakers. But Dragonback Slayers are of course unbreakable. Only 12 HP left. There's got to be one model. Yeah. Did he just die? Did I not get to see the last? Oh, man. We could barely see his mohawk. We could barely make it out before watching him getting taken out. Surprisingly, the Grudge Thrower is still online, but I think a charge from a dragon, a terror-causing unit, is going to be enough to send them packing. And what do we got left? Some Sisters of Avalorn trying to get some last-second value, perhaps hoping to pass up the Tombkin player, but I'm not sure that's going to be possible. I think it's going to be Triari all the way. He's got the most stuff left actively fighting. He also still has his Lord, and he's currently in the lead on points. So, for those of you who don't know, and in free-for-all, at the end, you do get bonuses for how many units you had that survived. So there's always a chance, usually, that the second place player can sometimes come back and actually get those points if they're able to, you know, keep a large portion of their army into the late game. You can sometimes see that. But I think at this point we can just enjoy dragons and Leoic Strixers, who are a pretty awesome looking unit with their masks on half of their face and their Azray spears. Very cool. And it looks like it's just going to be cleanup. I don't know how much we could possibly have left. Who's still fighting? Perhaps is the Tomb Scorpion still up? No, but there are some Ironbreakers. Let's go ahead and fast forward it just a little bit here. Whoa, bit of a jump. Yeah, okay. Should just be him running them all off. So there are things to know about getting points in a free-for-all. So chasing down shattered units and killing them does not get you points. Chasing down broken units, I believe, gets you points. But shattered units, definitely not. And sometimes, once an army becomes grayed out like this, they're worth nothing. So at this point, if Triari's trying to secure his lead, yeah, he definitely wants to go after the dwarf units that are left fighting, because that's actually going to actively give him those points. And we can see here in the breakdown who did what. Unfortunately, sadly, I don't think... No, we can. Okay. So, that's the sad part about the undead factions, is they get 0% remaining unless they win. So it's very likely that if you're playing the vampire accounts, the vampire coast, or the Tomb Kings, and you lose, you're going to really lose. Your units are going to crumble, and at the end, you're not going to get any bonus points from having units remaining. So, high elf player at the bottom, I think he just couldn't protect his Sisters of Avalorn well enough. He wasn't able to go wide enough, and the Frostheart Phoenixes were pretty well dealt with by the Leoic Tricksters, as well as the Kiting Waywatchers and the Dragon, going from target to target and wearing them out. The Tomb Kings player, to me, looked like he was having some trouble managing a large formation, and wasn't really throwing all of his units in together at once. And with just a bit of training, I think this army could have stood a much better chance versus the dwarves. He just needed to get some of these chaff units up and around and chasing the rangers, and then his front line would have been free to, to struggle against the Ironbreakers and Hammers. Meanwhile, his skeleton archers, I think, could have done a lot of work for him. And the Tomb Scorpion kind of came into the fight a bit too late, I feel. And the dwarf player did great. I mean, Ironbreakers and Hammers are pretty hardcore to beat, and then the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass certainly have a home against any undead faction. And the Rangers were kind of like MVPs there. They almost always are every time I take them. They shoot all of their ammo, then you throw them into melee. Grudge Throwers also were able to get lots and lots of value that game. They didn't shoot at very value targets. I mean, I would have liked to see them shooting at the Tomb Guard early on. But, you can't argue with, well over 300 kills. And Grombrindal lasted almost until the end. He's nearly unbreakable, and his buffs are pretty sweet. Most of the Footlords in the game also received a 500 HP bonus. I know Ungrim did, I'm pretty sure Grombrindal did, and several others. It's kind of hard to recall off the top of my head. I think Grimgore and Skarsnik each got 500 HP, but they're trying to help Footlords survive against big dragons and stuff like that. So if you look at the Glade Lord, 150 kills, no problems there. Wildwood Rangers definitely performed very well. They have great leadership, so they were able to stick around to the end of the battle. And one of the last units on the field was the Leoic Tricksters. Still ready to fight, good armor piercing. If they had to fight some Ironbreakers or something like that, they could have at least put a dent in them. And if there were something like a Tomb Scorpion running around at the end, they would have had a good time taking them out as well. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Triari for sending in this replay. If you have any replays that you would like me to cast or to showcase on the channel, feel free to contact me on Steam. Just go ahead and add me. I am Good Talk Gaming. And yeah, just shoot me a message. Tell me you got a replay, and I will send you my email address where you can send all your replays and have them cast. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett, and yeah, see you guys later. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.